There I am. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the stream here. I certainly hope you guys are doing good today, because I'm not doing too bad myself. Happy Wednesday. This is Thanksgiving Eve if you're in the United States. I know I am. I am looking forward to tomorrow. And it's going to be fun. I think so. So, what are we doing today? Well, it is Wednesday, so we are back in Planet Coaster. And I've already got the game loaded up, I know. A little bit of surprise from the past couple of weeks. I actually have the game loaded and everything's ready to go. So let's go ahead and pop into the game here. Let me adjust my camera just a tiny bit. There we go. That looks a little better. Now you're going to be wondering what we're doing today. Well, if you read the title, you kind of see what we're doing today. We're going to be building a new employee entrance. Now this won't actually be the main entrance for our park, for our employees. This will kind of be a secondary one. I don't know if I've showed this off yet, but let me zoom back here towards the back of the park, over the boardwalk. And then you got... Boy, I still like the idea of this coaster. I don't know if I'm going to keep it there. But originally, this was actually the employee parking lot. The idea is that the park would have ended right about here. So this would all have been backstage at one point. This is where the employees were able to park and everything's like that. But since then, it's we expanded the park a little bit. Stretch my arm out just a tiny bit. We've expanded the park out here just a little bit, and because of that, the employee parking lot got taken up, and they needed to put a coaster on, or they wanted to put a ride out here, so they put this coaster on it. Seems pretty simple enough. That was actually one of my first attempts at actually building a little cart area for food. It didn't really go as well as I'd like. So now, if you look over here, this actually is the new employee entrance back here, and you guys can see some other buildings. I don't know if I've showed these off before, but these are actually, this is a motel that I built. I think it was Mass Bandit was actually in Summerdale, was actually asking for buildings. This is the first one I built. I talked to him a little bit. It was like he liked it, but didn't think something like this would kind of fit in with the town, and I understand. But this is a great little hotel for across the street from the park. I don't know how many rooms it has in it, but I do quite like the look. It's just a fun little thing to build. The parking lot might be a little bit small, but that's okay. And then you actually have, I built the second building for him, and I don't know if I ever really got to him or not, but this is the Flying Pig Barbecue shack. This actually is based on a building in downtown Cincinnati. I used that as at least a guide for this building, and yeah, I think it turned out really well. I actually quite like how it looks, and maybe the flying pig itself is not the well, it may not be the best looking sign in the world, but it does kind of work. I think it kind of gets the point across. And now, if you were here for our building the 80s section, this is one of the buildings from that section. We were actually trying to make it look like, I think this was actually where the fire station was. This is actually what that building was supposed to look like, and it really just didn't pan out. So I put it back here. Nothing really has been done on it. It's just pretty much just a shell still. But, I thought about actually putting a small city back here just to, kind of make it look like it's actually surrounded by something. Arno Gamer, how you doing today, sir? Or ma'am? I don't really know, but, hey there, how you doing? So, let's go back to the entrance, actually, where we were actually going to be building today. So I think right in here would actually be a really good spot for an employee entrance. It may not be the main one, but this will allow any employee that would be parking over here, which I imagine there probably is some employee parking in the very back here. That would allow them to enter in here, which I think would be a good thing because our backstage area actually starts right here. So let's go ahead and start. Let's tear down this fence first. Let's see, probably something like that. That should be wide enough for an employee entrance. I also want to tear down the old one here. So this will be pretty simple, and this is pretty much similar to how we're going to do it the other side, but we're going to make it a little bit nicer looking, things like that. So I will probably leave the sidewalk. I'll probably cut it back to the road. Like that. And then we'll do something in here. As to what, I'm not sure, but we'll figure something out. Let's go ahead and duplicate that and get our fence back in order. like that. So there is that fence completed. And then, so now we can move on to our employee entrance over here. So I'll probably do the same or a very similar thing. I'll probably just take one of these temple pieces, copy it, and slide it over here. And then we'll make a little patio first out of this. I think that'll work. That'll be a good first place to start. Alright, I'm going to duplicate it twice. Then I'm gonna go ahead and do it, make a, oh, well, that's not what I wanted to do. Actually make a building out of this. Because that'll make it a little bit easier on me to actually build all this out. But I figured today, while I build, because I want to do a couple things. I want to build this employee entrance, and I want to start a little more on the back area back here. And I figured while I do that, I can at least tell some stories about when, some of the backstage areas of Kings Island, when I used to work there. So I think it'd be kind of fun. So when I first started at Kings Island, there was actually a couple of checkpoints that you had to go through to actually enter the park. Before you can even get to before you can even walk to your work location, you had to go through at least 2 security checkpoints. So the first one was right at the, well, actually there was 3, come to think about it. There was one right before you entered our parking lot. You actually had to show your ID to actually show that you worked at the park. Usually that was more for people, not people to park in the employee parking, because the employee parking for Kings Island is actually relatively close to the entrance. I know as an employee, a couple times I actually parked in the employee parking lot to actually go into the park as a guest. I'm not really supposed to do that, but I did it anyways. So, that's the first security checkpoint you would have gone through. The second one you would have gone through actually was right up by the entrance to the park. It was actually off to the right-hand side. If you're actually looking at their entrance, it's on the right-hand side. And originally, it was just, you had to swipe your badge, essentially. We all got these little ID cards. I don't have any of them on me, or I would show you one. But yeah, this little card you swipe, it looked like almost like about the size of a credit card, but it had your your ID number and stuff like that on it, as well as work location, things like that on it. So nothing too crazy, but you needed them to go to work and also for some other things like when you get into the park. So rather important you had those on you. So if that would be kind of your first checkpoint. You'd scan your badge through there, and then you would walk along this. You kind of go in and make a right, and you go around the human resources building, and you would walk along a building, or walk on that building where all the training rooms were at and things like that. And then eventually you got to the last checkpoint, and that last checkpoint was where it was a uniform check. So they actually would check your uniform before you actually entered the park. And I actually was one of the people who actually used to, when I was working in the office, I think I've told some stories about this. My fourth year at Kings Island, I actually was in doing what they call personnel. And so I was the one doing the hiring and firing. I did paperwork for there and things like that. And one of my jobs was I had to go work the uniform check. We also kind of did it on rotation, stuff like that. Unfortunately, food service, what? That might be Dad's then. Oh, I guess having some issues with the stream on some areas. I think maybe I know my dad loves to watch it on Xbox, so yeah, but might be having a few issues. So if you are, little let me check here. It seems like people are in here, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on. Because even on my end, like I can see it over here just fine. So I don't know what's going on. I think what else? What was I going on about? Oh, so the uniform checks. We actually used to, in food service, we kind of made a deal with the rest of the departments that we were kind of rotating around. Say, each department would at least take one shift and work it, and then food service somehow always ended up with every shift because no one else wanted to do it. That happened actually quite a bit. And we would sit there for maybe an hour or two, checking uniform, things like that. So you had to know every uniform in the park, what they needed, stuff like that. If not, you had to send it back to human resources. We actually had a wardrobe department. that you could actually walk back to and grab anything that of your uniform that you were missing. So here is a good area here. So what I want to do is I want to create just a small queue line, just kind of like you would at, you know, any ride or anything. I'll probably do it out of temporary gates. So I have it like event gates, is what I'm thinking of here. Now I won't be able to find them now, of course, but anyways. So that was kind of the original entrance when I used to work there. Now, towards like my second to last year there, they actually changed the entrance up because they wanted to have a little more security in the park and things like that, and it makes sense. I'm not doubting them in the least bit. So essentially they actually redid the front area a little bit. They actually moved wardrobe to outside security, which is kind of smart on their part. So essentially they combined the wardrobe check at the security checkpoint in one. So essentially you would be out there, you would have to go through uniform check, and then you could swipe in. But before you swiped in, you had to actually go through security. And so that's what I'm going to try to set up here. Essentially, it was just a metal detector and a bag check, essentially. Because if you bring bags in, a lot of people did. They bring a change of clothes so they could go ride rides after work, or they were actually riding rides before work and decided they would decide that they they wanted to or come to work after they went out to the park. And I used to do that too. It was a fun little park that we all had. So this is what I'm looking for here. Once again, nothing crazy, but plonk these down. Essentially, I just want to create a small queue line, nothing massive or anything, just so that let me go ahead and add these to the building here. And at that, essentially just to make sure the employees have, you know, essentially a small queue line. Because this line, I know entering the park could get pretty big, especially in the morning. And usually there was 3 times. It was usually around 8 o'clock in the morning, then usually around noon. Reason being is that it's like I know there was a couple of reasons it got busy at noon. I mean, 8 o'clock would be everybody's coming into work for the morning. But noon, all the people for the lunch rush for food service was coming in. And in merchandise, they were scheduling people actually to start giving people breaks at noon. So it kind of made sense. And then games kind of the same way. Rides I didn't know too much about. I do know that their shifts were a little bit different than ours. So I know they would actually come in right around noon was a big time for them. And the other time was around 3 o'clock. And that would be all your closing people, as well as usually your late managers come in at that time, things like that. So and when I mean late manager, I mean they weren't late to work, but usually they would be the ones that stayed till close or whatever, would come in around 3 o'clock. So so that was a fun experience. I'll be honest with you. It's not ideal, I'll be honest with you, but it was something to, it was a work. It wasn't too bad. There we go. So that's kind of all the line I really want here. Let me double check something really quick here. My phone. I don't know if anybody else is updated to the new iPhone operating system, but actually it's got some really cool features to it. They actually have a video setting. So like if I have to minimize Twitch, originally it would exit the program and things like that. Whereas now it actually comes like a window by window, so I can actually look to see, what's on that end. You actually can see what's still going on while you do whatever, and then go back to your video. It's kind of neat. Let's see here. I want to rotate this. There we go. So there is that. We'll probably add one on here just so that, you know, it can be hooked in a little bit better. There we go. So now we need to actually start making our kind of security line here. I guess what we could do also is do something like this. So let's hook that into there, and then we'll do one more, just at an angle, just to help, you know. Essentially, this will be our exit, so people can leave the park this way. They still will have to do some sort of scanning out. We always had to as well. Usually, you have to make sure that you have to check your bag to make sure you're not stealing anything. That was kind of a big thing too. Alright, so now that we have those in place, we need to look at metal detectors. Yeah, we'll do metal detectors first. There's this. And so let's go ahead and place that one. Let's place one down for now. And we also want to put a table up here. What kind of table is a good question. I think I have this nice folding table. I think that'll work. Don't know why the neon green, but we'll make that black because I think that looks a little bit better. So something like that. And that's essentially all your security is, which is, you know, one of those things like, ooh, okay. But no, they're usually pretty good about it. So I think we just duplicate this down a couple of times. We'll actually make, I think, 4 lanes. I think that'll be good enough. And that should be able to get through people pretty quickly. Then we'll take this event gate and roll that over here, over to there, and then do something like this. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's turn it a little bit more. I want to keep this all in the concrete at least. Something like that. Oh. There we go. I have a little bit of space over here, but I'm not too concerned about that. So there we go. We have our security up for our employees. We do need... Alright, so we got this now. Now we need to make an area where they can swipe their ID at. And that's going to be a little bit more fun. Because I don't know, we really don't have a scanner per se. And so, we got to figure out something that they can use. Or we got to find something that kind of looks like that, I guess. And as to what well, I guess what we could do. Let me look in Theme Maker's Toolkit and see if there's something we can use. Headed on the wrong way. There we go. It is warm in this basement this afternoon. Or, yeah, afternoon, I guess you could say. Alright, so we have that all taken care of. I'm trying to think of what we can use for a secure, like a badge scanner is kind of, I guess, the idea. I'm trying to get some ideas of this, and nothing's really coming to mind yet. Danger of death, which is not a good thing. It's actually a sign that we have. Let's see here. Nothing is kind of popping out of me, which is not usually a good thing. Because essentially what we did, well, I guess we can kind of make one from scratch. Let's go ahead and do that. So essentially what ours was, we'll do art shapes. And go, we'll do a beam. Maybe something a little bit thicker. 6, or hold on, let's see, this, the 1.8 I think will work. Do a 12 by 12. This will kind of be the base of our scanner. And then we need to go to the flat pieces. And I'm thinking maybe something like this might work. Uh-oh. Game's auto-saving. Come on. There it goes. I think something like, this might be a little bit bigger, or a little bit big, I should say. So let's use that one, and we'll just make 2 of them, make it a nice 2 wide. Or maybe not. We might just leave it 1 wide like that. And of course, excuse me, change the color of it to a nice, neutral gray. I think that'll work. So now we need something that kind of pokes out from there that can kind of show that this actually is a scanner. So it is. It looked like a small card reader. That's all it was. Let's see how big this is. That might be too big. A little too big on that one. Let's see if there's any other art shape that might work. And it depends how big this one is. See, a little too big on that one. Any of that's gonna work. I mean, I do have card readers like from Theme Maker's Toolkit, but I don't think those are really quite what I'm looking for. Just for the fact that that's more credit card than anything else. Or really, it was just a scanner. It looked like something you could swipe like any credit card or debit card through or something like that. So I mean, I guess we could use a card reader. I'm not a huge fan of using one of those, but I guess we can. Is there nothing behind it? No, it does not have any supports on it. Alright, well, I guess we can kind of use these. I guess these will have to do for now until we find something else that'll work. Come on, game. This game does not want to cooperate with me today. It is not ideal. Come on. Let's use the world axis and slide that over to there. And so now what we can do is we should be able just to highlight this, remove the 2 concrete areas. And why is there something underneath? Don't know why that's there. Alright, well. Slide this over to here, kind of center it up just a little bit better. And then we'll duplicate this whole thing and slide it over between those 2. And now we have our card readers. We will actually just put a event gate in between here, just so that kind of keep everybody separated until, I'll let it work, until they get out to here. Then they can all kind of group back together. Also need a card reader. Come on, there should be 4 people. There we go. We'll put a card reader over here as well. There we go. So now they can get in and out of the park with relative ease. Let's, that's not as bad as at least I'm giving more than 1 lane for every employee of the park. That's kind of what Kings Island did. But yeah, I think this is not too bad. Now, do I want to concrete this entire place in? Originally, it wouldn't have worked because this was the only concrete area, but I think now that we have this employee entrance here, it probably would not be a bad idea just to concrete all this in. So something like this. I want to keep the fence non-concreted, but everything else, we're just going to slap down some concrete real quick. Because I know a lot of people are kind of wondering, some people might wonder what backstage area looks like, and well, you can go on Google Maps and kind of look at them. They don't really give a good idea of what a backstage area is, and to be honest with you, it's kind of the lowest maintenance place you can possibly get. And so they don't want a lot of grass or anything like that. So a lot of it's concrete, asphalt, things like that. I won't say it's poorly maintained, but it could be better. But I think something like this works out pretty well. We could actually have some banners or something like that here, kind of telling the employees what's going on in the park that day and things like that, kind of like a message board almost. Or TVs. We actually had, let's go ahead and do some TVs here, because why not? I don't know why I'm so tired right now. I mean, I woke up probably about 2 hours ago now, and felt fine. And it's not like I was, nothing that, like, I felt like I got a good night's sleep, but apparently not. Let me actually go ahead and TV. Here we go. I think probably use the 4-meter one because that makes sense. And I'll have to do some banners or something like that for here. Nothing too crazy though. Probably something like that. I think that works. We'll just throw something on here real quick just to remind ourselves that we need to do something else. I don't know if I say this. I know I haven't showed this park off before, but I actually did a park called there's another one, I can't remember what it is. But I actually did a ride called Cyclone. And let me get back to it. And actually, this was kind of the, well, come on. There we go. So this actually was for the photo booth. It actually was a photo you could actually pick up with the word Cyclone on it. I'm thinking about doing that for a couple of rides here, but don't have it quite done yet. So what I'll do, I'll just throw the bottle advertisements up there. Is that the one on site? That's the one on site. So we need to go bottle advertisement. Because you would still advertise stuff like this to your employees. Maybe not as heavily, but I knew we used to be able to buy souvenir bottles that for a lot cheaper than what normal guests would pay. So for right now, I'll probably keep maybe one of those up, maybe, and the other two I will probably change to something else, maybe to like dress code or whatever. Might be interested to do a dress code thing. So the last thing I want to do is actually add some security out here. If you knew about anything about stuff like I do, I do like to have a little bit of realism to my park, make it look like it's alive, essentially. That last path will not work, so we'll do something like that. It would actually be pretty common to see security guards out here patrolling around, things like that. So I'll go ahead and hire a few security guards. He is facing the wrong way. So if we plop him... If we plop him here, let's see if he moves in the right direction here. Let the game run. He should turn here shortly, hopefully. That should work. So let's move him over here. And let's see here. Now let's make him $2,000 a month because that's usually helps with that. And we also want to move him to a work roster called standing. And so if we hit this, he should do a little bounce and then he will just stand there. like we should. I'll probably add 2 or 3 security guards out here. So let's work on his uniform really quick, because we do have a Thunder Lake, security uniform. It's usually a white shirt, black pants. We'll do a nice gold for the badge and the stripes on top, and his hat will be, I think their hats were black too. So we'll do something like that. I think that should be the Thunder Lake security. I think I have some security elsewhere. I thought I did over here at the front gate maybe. I didn't change his uniform, so probably have to do that here shortly, but that is okay. Let's put another security guard there and one more there. Hopefully these guys will move in the right direction so we don't have to worry about it. Knowing my luck, they'll both go north. Look at that. That didn't work out as well as I thought it would. So how do I fix that? I need to learn. I might put them down here maybe. They'll turn around. I don't know that for a fact, but nope, they did not. Well, that's unfortunate. Where can I put them so they'll be facing the right direction? I have an idea. Let's see if we can use this guy. I'm going to move him actually to back here. The side of our pizza place here. And yes, he's not going to be exactly like the other guy was. Maybe we only put 2 out here because he's already being kind of a pain. But, you know, maybe one's a little askew. And they're talking to each other, you know. Because they do have a lot of downtime out here, I would say. So I don't, imagine they would be talking to one another. So there we go. There's our world-class security right here. That should work pretty well, I think. That's actually kind of neat. And if we wanted to, we could do something like... Well, this is going to work or not, but we're going to give it a try. We could... Do I want to do that or not? Like, we can have someone going through security, but I think we'll be okay for that. For now. Oh, but you know what? I could. It's one of those things like, oh, I very well could. I know how to do this. All right, so something like that. We're going to place down a employee here. And, I want the employee that's hovering in the air. Put him to standing. We'll also want to change his uniform because this guy is going to be a merchandise person. So we'll do more tan hat. We used to wear tan hats. It was tan hats, purple shirts, kind of tan, and then whatever shoe color we wore. I mean, it had to be kind of plain, but that's fair. We'll crank his salary up so he doesn't get too bored. And then, as with all things, this is need a bag. Or it's a backpack, what I'm thinking of. Yeah, there it is. So now, if I do this, lay this flat, rotate this around. I'm actually going to move one of the security guards here to, come on game, to there. Now if I hit play, should look like there we have an employee going through security right now, which works. I think it's kind of neat. And then one's kind of waiting on more employees. All right, that's kind of neat. I kind of like that, you know. It's gives a little story to the park, I think, and you know, it's works out pretty well. So there is that. The bank straps, they stick through a little bit, but I'm not too concerned about that. So now we can, I think we can move on now. I think this area we can maybe not call done, but for now I think it works out pretty well. We can actually start moving on more towards the back area here. So I think we need, number one, widen this path out just a tiny bit, because there is not, this would not be very good for a lot of employees to come back through here. We just double that, kind of like that. Bring it right up to the bushes and everything. Now, that's not to say, when I say the backstage area is not, you know, is kind of the low maintenance, I'm not saying that there's not plants and trees and stuff like that behind here. What I'm saying is, though, is that they try to keep that to a minimum so that, like, landscaping and gardening doesn't have to come out here every week and try to cut the grass or trim the bushes or whatever, so they can work on the actual park itself. And some curbing probably would be some nice here, so let's go ahead and do that. So I don't know if I showed off the backstage area back here very well or not, but this is actually our admin building, so this is where things like, this like be where if I was the running the park, this would be like the CEO, the general manager would be, probably advertisement, marketing, things like that, promotional things like, and things of that sort would probably be in here. And then you probably have a couple different buildings for different departments. I know when I used to work at Kings Island, we used to have what they call resale. Now, resale was essentially we bought items and then we would resell them in the park. That's where we got our name from. And that wouldn't, it seems like it's kind of an odd thing, but it'd be like food. It was food service, games, and merchandise. So, kind of makes sense. We'd buy merchandise from other companies. Like they would make our stuffed animals, game prizes, and then we would buy the food from different food sources, and then we would either we would work on them at the park and then resell them to the guest. So that kind of makes sense. I'm looking for a specific window. That's why I'm kind of perusing. I think it was this one. Yeah, this will work. So yeah, that was kind of the whole idea. So you wouldn't necessarily be in the same building as somebody else. Like Rise was in the same building with security. Why? I don't know. Same place that the Kings Island jail was at, which was fun. I know I've told that story on stream where I was in the Kings Island jail for a little bit. Nothing that I did, but it happened at my stand, but I was not there that day. So that was interesting. At least I had to go carry money through the park. So what would a backstage area like this have? Well, of course it would have things like warehousing, where I have at least two of those. For one, essentially one's going to be for food service, because food service pretty much needs its own warehouse for all the stuff it needs to carry. But also we're going to have one for, it's going to be called just the general warehouse. It's going to be run by our merchandise team. Essentially, that'll be for anything else. Anything from merchandise to computer parts, cameras, TVs. I'm trying to think what else was there. There's a lot of stuff in there. So, just stuff like that. But there was also some smaller areas. Now, also, I don't think people realize. So, yeah, we did have two warehouses. But behind those warehouses, we actually had just probably 20 shipping containers. If you've seen these, they're like the containers that that would be on ships or trucks, trains, things like that, that ship the cargo around the world. We had probably 20 of those in the back that we would store things like tables, chairs, shelves, other things like that in them, just when we weren't using them. And they're actually pretty useful. They're pretty, excuse me, I don't know why I'm so tired today. But they were pretty airtight. You don't have to worry about them too much. At least for like animals, stuff like that, getting into them. So, that was always kind of nice. I think we need to lower this curve just a little bit. There we go, that looks a lot better. It kind of makes it look a little more finished back here. And around here, you would have some nice areas back here too. I mean, you gotta take care of your employees as well. But here is kind of the new entrance for our employees. This is actually our first merchandise location. This is not merchandise. This is actually a food service location. No, I'm sorry, take it back. Food service is over here. This is actually our wheelchair and stroller rentals. So So like behind here, we can actually, well, I actually made this more internal storage. So essentially in here is where you would actually store all the wheelchairs and strollers, things like that. But other things we gotta consider. So we do need a second warehouse for our merchandise. We probably need some shipping containers. And we probably need a department for maintenance. So anything that we need to be fixing, we need a ride maintenance building. We probably need a vehicle maintenance building so that our parked vehicles can be maintained properly. Probably need a landscaping building and a greenhouse. That I don't know about yet, because we'll have to figure that one out, because glass pieces in this game can be kind of difficult. And then we also need things that people don't think about. I mean, we do have our employee cafeteria already. That one's that one we showed off in the 80s section. If you guys are curious about that one, you can go onto my YouTube channel and watch that one. But what about we also need some sort of first aid building back here, somewhere that it's also kind of park facing as well as in the back here. So if they do for some reason need to get somebody out of the park via ambulance, they have a place they can take them right through first aid and out the back door to an ambulance. We also could use a money room. People don't think about that quite a bit, but yeah, a park it's almost like a small bank. And I know the one I used to work at was like I had a vault and everything that they used to store money in. So I think, that's stuff we need to think about. Also a wardrobe building would be kind of cool. So what I'm thinking here, so here's kind of this backstage area I've got here. You see here Shockwave and Discus. I know they call it Delirium Kings Island, so that might be. So this is pretty much our backstage area here. So essentially, I'm going to encompass this area here, kind of some sort of parallelogram of some sort. But essentially, this is what we're going to be using, and we got to put all this into here. So what I'm thinking is, we put both the warehouses here, the two big warehouses, and then we can kind of line this area up along here with storage containers, and then put a road back here. I think our wardrobe probably will go somewhere in here. So if somebody needs to go grab something for their wardrobe, they can do it there. I'm trying to think what other, where else we put. We might put money room. Well, putting money room here would kind of make sense, because it's really close to the entrance, like place to into the park. If they need to get money into the park, it's also a very easy place for an armored truck to come in. But we might move that over here. I'm not quite sure about that yet. But, this is all just a plan. Let's actually let's get some buildings down. So I don't know if I've ever showed off the, let me store this back here somewhere. We also need a junk pile, and I'll explain what that is here in just a minute. But essentially Kings Island, and I bet you other parks do this too. I bet you Disney does this in Six Flags. But they'll actually have just an area where they can dump old stuff in that they might use later. Old signs or coaster pieces, things like that. They'll store into like these huge like gravel lots. And if they ever need them, they can pull them back out. But sometimes they don't, and so whatever. It's not too bad. So here is kind of the first warehouse I was looking at. This is actually the food service warehouse. I didn't put much into here because I don't want it to lag too much. And for what little we actually see of it, it's not too bad. Although it does have some nice little details on it. So if you kind of did zoom around here, it'd be kind of nice. I do have this truck that this actually, I think, was built by Wings and Strings, I believe. Could be wrong about that. But I do like it. It's based on like an old Peterbilt, and I quite like that. There's another one of those shipping containers I was talking about a little bit earlier. So I think I want to do, though, I think this is going to be the easiest way to do this, is hit duplicate and slide this over. I'm going to hit OK. Now, we do need editing to this building a little bit, and the reason is that there are some things in the food service warehouse that you wouldn't need in a general merchandise warehouse. Things like refrigerated storage. So this stuff out here was actually our refrigerated storage. We won't need that for merchandising. So we'll get rid of all this and the protections around it. Take me a minute here. We'll get rid of the floor there. I don't care if I get rid of the wall, because we are actually going to expand this warehouse just a little bit. The reason being is that when I say the general merchandise warehouse is massive, it is massive. Usually, actually, if I'm not mistaken, it was two, well, it was mainly one story, but it was like probably 25, 30-foot ceiling that they would have merchandise stacked floor to ceiling on. There actually was parts of it that actually had a second story on there. So that's no big deal that they had that. So let's take this whole building, let's slide it back up against the food service warehouse. I probably will make a small breezeway, like a actual tunnel that connects the two. Does that make sense? We had one of those as well at Kings Island. So let's get rid of this wall over here. It will expand our warehouse out just a little bit. Not a whole lot, but we do need more floor space in here. Just to store all the merchandise and things like that we would have in here. Let's keep on going down one like this. Maybe one more. I don't think we need too much more on this building. Game decided to auto-save there. Now, if you'll notice something, if you are a big, like, simulator person, things like that, you'll notice something here that I don't have any docks, like loading or unloading docks on this building, and you'd be correct, and that's kind of how I wanted it. Because, I'm actually going to leave that open for a second, like a rear entrance. The reason is that the one I used to work at didn't have any loading docks. So what you had to do, they had to either bring a forklift out and unload things from the back of a truck, or they had to, sometimes the trucks themselves actually had little lifts on them that they could use to unload pallets. So they would have to kind of, it's a little special thing that they had to do for us, because we didn't really have anything else. So, that was kind of interesting. That's what I thought I did. So let me go ahead and duplicate this. Little trick I had to do to get the doors to work properly is that I had to make a second wall, or second kind of building, I guess, just to slide into here, just so it looks like we had a full door there. And it worked out pretty well. I don't think it really hurt anything. Alright, we'll put that there. Keep on duplicating this over to there, and then that didn't work. Let's do that to there then, and then one more over to here. There we go. So now that we have this, we need to get our floor redone, because we have more warehousing now. We can actually do that. So essentially, this is I'm modeling this both off of the two real warehouses at Kings Island. So we have this one here. This was a food service one, and then that was pretty accurate to what it was. There was a desk here that they did all the ordering from. And then there was a doorway here, and then my office actually was right behind here. But we'll make the breezeway here, so we'll go through this building. Then off to the right here was actually the purchasing offices for general merchandise, stuff like that. On the second store was all paper products, so receipts, things like that were up there, paper towels, things like that. We'll have to get rid of this desk here. Also get rid of the smoke in here, because smoke in a warehouse, not ideal. But then you actually come over here, and then, so essentially this area here was actually like a work area. What would happen is when new merchandise came in, we had to tag it with our barcodes. And so a couple of the off seasons, I would actually, when I was in merchandise at least, I would come over here into the warehouse. They would have just rolls. And when I mean rolls, they probably had 100 rolls of just different UPC codes that we'd have to, number one, verify all the merchandise was in the box. Sometimes it was, sometimes it wasn't. We'd have to call the company and make sure that they would deliver the rest of it. That's what I thought. All right, let me move these down to here. There we go. And we would just sit there for an hour or two for one box, just tagging them and counting everything. And I say one box, probably one shipment. And there's a couple of us that would do it. And, you know, that's what we would do, you know. And then we would go get another box. We'd get another truck in. Something fun I enjoyed. And then once it got closer to time to open the park, we actually had a section, and they also did this. Essentially, you know, you have it here, and then you have pallets over here that had all the store's names on it. And then, like, when a store ordered something, you put it on the pallet, and then you either take it if you have forklift or a pallet jack, and then take it out to a truck or whatever, and they would deliver it through the park. So we're going to try to do something similar to that, I think. Now, fair enough, we don't have all the shelving in here, which we can copy over, which is pretty much the same idea with the shelving, so it's not too awful bad. I do want to take one of these. Oh, here's what we're going to do. I'll put the breezeway there. And so let's look up the alloy. What walls are called? Yes, metal alloy. And instead of getting the half arch, I want to get the full arch. There we go. Just lower it down quite a bit so that looks more like a believable archway. There we go. Now we'll go ahead out here. Rotate that around. Let's make that and that. Do the same on the other side here. And I want to cut a hole in this building now. Got a 2-meter alloy wall. Move that to there. How do we do a roof? I don't know how we did this one. It looks like we used the diner roof. Alright, well, how's that look over here? It's actually not terrible. And we'll just copy one of these over. Blue Steve, hello there. How you doing? There we go. There's our little breezeway from one warehouse to the next. So let's actually work on these. Let's get rid of these chairs first. And that computer terminal, because we actually have some newer computers we could use. That forklift can go. These guys are going to move over here. For now. This is where they usually store them anyway, so I'm going to get rid of this forklift as well. Let's also get the roll-up door. Let's actually get those over to the other entrance as well, just so that we have them. I like a lot of times, especially if it was a nice day out, they would leave these warehouses open. So I have no problem keeping the doors open for these guys. So because it kind of makes sense, you get a nice breeze going through here. As long as it wasn't raining or anything, they would usually have these open. Even when it was raining, they usually have these open anyways. But that's just me. All right, let's rotate this around to there. Slide it up against the wall here. And then we're going to slide it down just a little bit. This one's going to be a little bit smaller than the other two, but that is okay. We actually can maybe not quite get rid of a full pipe there, but can do this. And there we go. So there's another smaller roll-up door, but that still is a nice back entrance for our little warehouse area here. Looks pretty good so far. So let's go ahead and grab some of those shelving here. And yes, these are all custom shelves. I do realize that. So let's see if we can just grab... I think they were actually in a separate building too, so that's going to help us at least. Let's see if this, something like this will help. Oh, is it really just one shelf unit? Alright, well, I mean, that's okay if it is. Let's do something like this. And then the first, if I remember correctly, the first one was probably... actually, to be honest with you, this is actually small for the general warehouse that we had. Essentially, we had this, and then it actually extended back quite a bit more, probably to about here. But we're kind of limited on space back here, so I think we'll keep it to about something like this. So we'll have to kind of do a little custom work to get it to where we want it, but that is okay. We'll do 4 back on this one. And then I'm going to take all these that I can. I'm going to duplicate it. Rotate this 90 degrees. And actually start lining them up this way. I think this will work out a little bit better. Leave a little bit of room for that door there. Start building this up a little bit more. Probably need to get 1 or 2 more shelving units out of here. And maybe 1 more. Then what I want to do, duplicate this and slide it against this wall over here. Something like that. And then oh, that's not exactly what I wanted to do. Let's duplicate this. And do... I'm going to delete this last shelf here. So we have a little bit more room back here. I think that works out pretty well. And now we need to put a few more shelves going this way because while we're going to lose some shelving, I don't think we don't have to lose all of it. If we put that there, just let that drop there. I think we can at least put 1 shelf, maybe 2 more. Something like that. We probably cheat a little bit and kind of make a shelf like that. And there we go. I think that's going to work out for... You know, remember, we're also not as big of a park as well, the one I used to work at, so I'm okay with that. I think we need to move these, though. Just move them over to... Well, not through the roof, please. There we go. And so now we need to start working on our little office area over here for our purchasing, for our merchandise and things like that. I am aware that this will probably never be seen after we're done building it, but you know what? If we ever peek back here again, we can at least see it. I think that works out pretty well. So, very simple. I think we want to use some old... something like that, some old wood boards. Essentially, that's all this was. It was just old, like, oh, well, come on. Kind of one that you don't like doing interior sometimes is that it does get stuck like that. So, how big of this do I want to make it? Maybe something like that. Maybe cut it back a little bit, because that is a bit of a long area. I think something like that will work. We need an archer back here, though. I don't know why this left arm today is just driving me crazy. Actually, I realized that was the wrong spot for the archer. Switch over here and get archer. There he is. So you see here is a little bit short on that wall, so we'll have to bring it up just a little bit. please. That's the wrong wood. There we go. That's what I'm looking for here. Fix that here momentarily. There we go. So now what we can do is I'll probably put the door in. Probably be a good idea. Now with areas like this, it's probably not very match very well. Go ahead and do that. Because they just kind of use whatever they have back here. And if they don't have a door, they just kind of make up a door. So we're going to use one of the Victorian doors. We have that on one of our shops. We will do some art pieces to kind of make it look like they kind of blacked it out, essentially. Let's see here. Maybe something a little bit wider that will work. Move it up. Something like that I think should work. We'll put a little bit of a frame around it as well, just to make it look a little bit nicer. Probably be wood again, because these are just very simple buildings. Let's see, maybe the beam. Gotta find the wood beams now. But essentially these are just very simple buildings, very basic. They're nothing too fancy. Maybe I don't have them on here. Maybe they're somewhere else. Let's see here. What else can we use then? Something like that'll work. But yeah, these are just very basic buildings that they kind of put up just so that they have a little bit of an office back here. They probably did it as cheap as they could, so that just so that they didn't have to, if something were to, like, if a forklift hit this, it wouldn't be too hard to repair or to replace or whatever have you. So there's a nice little door there. We'll put a roof on it. We'll probably just use the same roof that we did up here, down here. I mean, this is going to be very basic, but this should work out pretty well. There we go. So now this is our little purchasing area. We can actually probably put our move our pallet jacks over here. Move our forklift over here too. I'll probably paint it a little bit different color, just because why not? We'll make this one. I think they had like a teal one. Let's make it a little bit brighter though. There we go. And yes, they would just paint it in the funky color. I don't know why. Probably just paint they had lying around, that if something got damaged, they could paint it real quick. So there is that. So let's move over here. We're going to create a quick sorting area. So what I'm going to do first is we'll put down some pallets. We'll use a lot of Theme Maker's Toolkit for this. But the first thing I'll need is a pallet. There we go. I say a pallet. We're going to need a lot of pallets for this one. A little bit more red, please. Okay. So they'll probably pick it up from this end. It's not quite aligned with the wall here, so let's want to make sure this is pretty much lined up with the wall. It's more my personal taste than anything else, but alright. That's not going to work for me. Let's turn angle snapping on. Lower this to the concrete floor. Slide it out, and then along this shelf here. So essentially this is going to be our sorting area, like I was talking about a little bit earlier. So this will be our pallets for our stores. I'm not really sure how many stores we have in the park. I know of 3 of them. I know we have the fire station, we have the merchandise like the stroller and ECV rentals, which would have some smaller stuff to sell. The carts around can be probably more food service than anything else. But there is the store outside of Thunder Falls. There was one more. I'm trying to think where it was at. Maybe we don't. And so, you know, lacking. I mean, but I was thinking, like, even at Kings Island, there's only like 13 stores. So we'll just put a good amount of pallets down. So if you ever want to have future stores as well, we have those. I mean, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 11. It's 11 stores. I think we'll have. We can probably fit 11 stores in here, even if they're, you know, other things. So the first thing we'll need some tables. This dinner table here. It's a little probably out of place here. Yeah, something like this I think will work. And we're going to put... the ones we have are a little more permanent tables. They wouldn't be folding tables, but that's kind of what I got right now, so... Let's go ahead and rotate these just ever so slightly. And this is pretty much how it was the entire time. We have, let's see here. Slide this over to here. And we'll double this table up. And we would just set up one of these tables, and we would just tag things for hours on end. I only did this a couple times. Usually I was out moving merchandise because I could lift some of the heavier boxes, which was fine. I never had a problem with it, so... But yeah, every once in a while I was out back here tagging it. It was a fun little job to do, because a lot of times we just had music going on back here. We would just sit there and talk to each other and not have to worry about... Not having to worry about guests is kind of the best thing, because all of us were managers, so we all at one point had to deal with guests, so it was fun. I rather enjoyed it, so... Let's actually combine these tables a little bit better. So there we go. And so also we'll have there's a couple other things I want to add to this. We'll need one more table, I think. We need a cardboard pile, and when I say pile, we actually had probably 4.5, 5 foot tall stack of cardboard that we would just that if we ever needed a box or we wanted to tear down a box, we could throw it in that pile or take from that pile. We used that pile quite a bit, so it was kind of fluctuating how big it ever got. So, you know, it's kind of fair. But I think we do need that. Let's see, we'll need some chairs. What kind of chairs can we have? Now, if I know Kings Island is like anything else, none of the chairs match. We'll have 2 of the office chairs. We'll have a folding chair. Because if you ever walk into a Kings Island food stand or merchandise stand, none of the chairs are going to match. And it is the funniest thing, but none of them will ever match. And that's not really by design. That's just kind of how it is. We just don't have a good mix of chairs. Because we just take chairs where we can. So, and it probably looks something like that. You know, that's probably fair. You know, so there is kind of our sorting area. We'll need some sort of computer area so we can print out new tags. So we need to figure out where we want to put that at. But while I'm thinking about that, let's put some merchandise out. Let's actually get some boxes out here and kind of set it up to kind of show you what you know, kind of what it looked like. Let's get a box and we'll put one in. It's a good sized box. Put one there. Put one there, and we'll put one on the table. Maybe these are new boxes that we still need to sort. Yeah, I'm well aware that probably none of this will be ever seen again, or very little, I should say, be seen again. But let's put a few boxes. You know what? I kind of enjoy doing stuff like this too. There's sometimes I get into a mood where it's like I want to do stuff like this, and I think it's one of those days. And also, I can tell you guys about some of the stuff that it's a little too big there. But some of the stuff that happened back here, you know. So let me go over to the Theme Maker's Toolkit. Let's go grab some merchandise. When I say merchandise, it's going to be, I mean, we got some things that we've already, you've already seen that we've put out. Backpacks of different colors. So let's do that. And we'll do maybe a red, like a pink. We can do a pink and white one, maybe. Something like that. We do the sides in pink as well. And then what we do maybe like a nice purple. So a deeper purple. And then same with that one. And we'll make this one maybe a dark blue. I say dark blue, but then I kind of went a little crazy. I'm thinking like a navy. Put it right now, probably won't sell well, to be honest with you. Because it's a bit of an odd color combination, but alright. So throw that one on the table here. So maybe that went in one of the boxes here. These will work. Coaster souvenirs. These are always popular. I have a couple above my desk. And if you're curious, yes, we did have to take every one of these out of the packaging, double check they weren't broken, and then tag them. So yeah, it's could get a little much sometimes, but you know, does happen like that sometimes. Let's go put some of the plushies back here. That's not what I wanted to do there. Well, that's on my way now. All right, well, that's unfortunate. You know what? Align to surface probably doesn't need to be on. We'll put a couple more in here, and one back here that has fallen over. And there we go. Delete that one. So there is, you know, some more souvenirs, I guess. Yeah, that's what they are, I guess. Let's see what else. Nice Gulpy plushies. Always a fan favorite. Now, I don't think you guys realize how many stuffed animals that an amusement park can have. We used to go, so we have these. We used to have these things called crush bears, and I think you can still get them at the park. At least when I was there, it was kind of popular, or I say kind of popular. So essentially, these were just tie-dye bears that said Kings Island on them, and they were probably maybe about 8 or 10 inches tall. Sold for about, I think, they were like $12, $13. I kid you not. I think we ran out of those things 3 or 4 times, and we were selling these things by the hundreds. Maybe not like one person would buy 100, but like there would just be people buying them left and right, trying to get, you know, because they were great little souvenirs, and especially with kids. The kids really like I mean, young kids, I guess, but It didn't really matter. Like, adults were buying them and everything. I remember having to keeping those things stocked was a pain sometimes, and then organizing them. You'd have 100 of them on a wall that you would have to try to go reorganize, and sometimes it was just a half hour, 45 minutes just to do that. So yeah, it was fun. So I think I kind of like this. I want to add, hold on. I want to add a couple more backpacks. It was kind of looking a little lackluster back here. Do another one of the black and yellow because I think that would sell out pretty well. Same with the pink one. We'll do another one of those. But it is getting towards the fall here. At least where I'm at. When I say fall, it's been in fall for a little while now. So what I'll do, let's actually put out some hoodies. Align to surface. And when I say these actually come in the boxes of the same color. So to be just like this. But I think I want to do these in a different color. I might want to do these in maybe a nice gray color. Maybe a little lighter than that. Like off-white. How's that? There we go. That looks a little bit better. I always find in games like this, if you do something like this totally white, it doesn't look right. It looks kind of artificial. And, you know, in like real life, you'd never have a deep white like that. You'd have something like this. And I think that works out pretty well. I think it looks a little bit better, a little more realistic that way. I'm just going to shift the search around just a little bit to kind of show that maybe they're not totally in line. Comic Guy 81, thanks for stopping by. How you doing today? We'll do a King Coaster hoodie. We'll do it in maybe a nice teal. That seems like it would sell pretty well. Go and let's keep on building this up. Let's keep it just slightly rotate it once again, and we'll move it up and rotate it a little bit more, and we'll do some blank ones because why not? I mean that would be, while we really didn't have any blank hoodies, it would be more like they'd always have some sort of Kings Island theme to them. So essentially here would be always Thunder Lake. But you know, it's never a bad thing to have. You know, if we can always use these as like iron-on things like that. So there is that. And let's see what else. If I don't want to put like anything, let's put some t-shirts out. So Comic Guy, I'm actually working on our merchandise warehousing right now. I'm also telling a few stories from there. So this is kind of our sorting area. You can see here, this is where we'd actually pull the merchandise out of the boxes, double check that they're all there and nothing's damaged or anything, and then we would actually package them up and get ready to have them shipped out to one of the stores. This is actually this is something more for preseason stuff, but I did this for a couple, or about maybe 2 times that I would work back here during the preseason. Something kind of fun to do. You know, something I thought would be kind of interesting. Something I could also talk about, kind of a little bit behind the scenes, because a lot of people, especially when they're building parks like this, some people had never or would never have worked in an amusement park. So, you know, it's kind of interesting. People, you know, like to hear about stuff like this. I know I used to before I used to work in amusement parks. I'd love to hear stories about what other people did at amusement parks. So yeah, that's what we're kind of working on right now. You can kind of see the rest of the warehouse behind us. Generally, the rest of the warehouse is empty, but you know, this might be that they're getting more stock in right now. So this is kind of what would be kind of the sorting area here. Ours was a little bit different than this, kind of the same idea though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start stacking a few of these pallets up with the boxes, just to kind of show that they are ready to be shipped out to those stores. Kind of like that. Do one with 2 on it. We'll stack this next one up with 4. And these are actually kind of a light. This would kind of be like mid-season. But before mid-season, we'd have this whole area probably here would just be full of different boxes ready to go out to stores. So yeah, it could get kind of wild sometimes, but it was rather fun. I was also going to put that printer in. I'll probably just put it at the end of this counter here because we actually had a separate room for it. But I think for something like this, I think we can just kind of get away with a computer on a counter over here. Something like that. And we put some sort of printer over here. We can probably just get away with doing a wood corbel, I think that's what they're called. I think it's called CORBEL. That's what I'm looking for. And let's paint this black. And while this won't be the most convincing printer in the world, I think it'll work. Until I can find an actual printer. Something like this. I know they used to use these as registers rather often before like Theme Maker's Toolkit, but we'll do something like that. It'll look like a nice printer. And there we go. There's a little sorting area. Also need a cardboard area. So, did I do one of those here? I don't think I did. Also need a few trash cans. That would help around here. Not in Theme Maker's Toolkit, that's why. Bin. There we go. Something like, and we'll put a couple of these out here. The open ones. We'll make them a little bit, I think they're pretty much like the waste management version, so make it a little bit darker green. There we go. Put a couple pieces of trash, or a couple of trash cans back here. Because they would, this place, you know, you have a lot of packaging, stuff like that, so you need somewhere to put it. So that works out pretty well. I did realize that these coaster pieces are hovering off the table. Not ideal. And then, just a box of just cardboard boxes that we'll do something. Let's use these. Let's put, you know, kind of rotate these around, kind of like that, because unfortunately we really don't have any. Oop, that's not what I wanted to do. We really don't have any cardboard boxes that are on it. They're like, oh, you're on. Well, you can put them on their side, but they're not flat. Like these cardboard boxes can fall pretty flat, and that's kind of what they would actually break down all the cardboard. And that's what they would put into piles. But we really don't have that yet, which probably would not be the hardest thing to make in the world, to be honest with you. Texturing might be a little difficult, but I'm sure I could probably figure out how to do something like that if we wanted to add that in later. But there is going to be a little merchandise warehousing sorting area. I think that looks pretty well. I think we, you know, I think it's a little, you know, a little iffy, but it should work. And really, these aren't very big areas, to be honest with you. So I think, while this is empty, I don't want to put too much detail in. I kind of like the looking. If you were kind of looking down like this, you would see that there is stuff in here. But if you really dove into it, you wouldn't tell that there's much in here at all. I might come back later when we're almost done with the park and flush that out a little bit better. But I think for right now, I think I'm gonna call this warehouse good. And if we want to come back and add boxes and stuff like that to every shelf, we certainly can. But I think for now, just for my sanity and for the lag issue we already been having, I think I'm going to call it good there. So we put our roof on it. Let's go ahead and add one of our kind of these outcroppings that we have here. There and there. Rotate this around. There and there. Let's duplicate this over to there. There we go. We could move them back a little bit, but I think I'll leave them right there for now. And so there is that warehousing area done. So let's actually make our road around here. I think that's kind of our next step, so we can kind of lay this out a little bit better. Can we still select this grid? We can. Awesome. So I wanted to have it come down here. And about right in there. Oh, missed a grid piece here. And so now I actually want to bring it from there. Not really. I think I want to bring it from there. Alright, so now get this angle snap on here. Bring it along the back side of the warehouse here. Come on, game. And then we'll turn it around the back side of the building here. There we go. So now we have kind of our loop here. So our trucks can pull up here, park, and unload what they need to. And then instead of having to turn around, they can actually just go back out this way. It's kind of how I've planned it doing it. What I'll do is I actually will add a little bit of a turn here. Ooh, that's not quite what I wanted. Something like that will work. That looks better. Essentially, I'm making one kind of wonky intersection here, but they can still turn out here pretty easily and head back out towards the entrance. I think works out pretty well. So now we need to go ahead back through here and paint all this. So at least we were using the asphalt paint. Something like this. And yes, this is pretty much all just asphalt. It's nothing too fancy or anything, but I do want to come back through here and where like the trucks would come in and out of, make it kind of more broken up because that would be used more often than not. I kind of did the same over here, and there we go. I think that is a good looking warehouse. Once again, very plain. That's kind of the whole name of the game. Now over here, I do have a little bit of space here and a little bit of space out back, and that's kind of what I wanted. Because I want to put our shipping containers back here, because I did want to have a few of those. Kind of like we did behind kind of the go-kart track, kind of what I want to do back here. There we go. So now we can put these shipping containers just along the back here. I'm gonna recolor them here in a second. But essentially, these are just plain Jane shipping containers that we would store things in when we weren't using them, and they worked out pretty well. They probably still even have them today. Yes, I'm just randomly placing these because I kind of wanted to make it look like they were just very kind of hurriedly placed back here. They weren't really, you know, they didn't really think about how they were going to do this, but you know, I think I'm only going to use this side because I've already put down quite a few of them. I think something like that will work though, because we had about that many. I don't know really how many we have, but you know. Great, these aren't in a group, so let's go ahead and fix that. That one, and this one. That will make it a nice light blue, like a Mersk color. And this one, and this one will make white. Make it a darker white, like, oh, well, that didn't take it all. Come on, there we go. That one, and this one. This is going to prove a little more difficult than I expected. There we go. We'll make that one and this one will make green. And yeah, I think that looks pretty good. I think it kind of looks like a good area of shipping containers. I think we will go ahead and paint this. I wasn't going to paint this at all, but I think with some of the broken concrete, or broken asphalt I should say, I think that'll look a little bit better. Gonna make it look like it was this maybe parking at one time and they decided to put the shipping containers down here. I think that looks pretty good. We also can put a few things of like, not necessarily boxes, because you really want to put boxes back here, but things like trash cans can very easily be fit back here. Because why not? And then maybe a shelf or display. What do they call them? Aha, they do call them displays. Maybe down here we'll put a couple of displays. And let's see here. And I do realize that they are hovering off the ground, but we can fix that here momentarily. And we'll put the table and chairs down here. Yeah, essentially these are just kind of emergency storage. When they run out of storage somewhere else, they can put these down here. I think we use these. And sometimes they're broken or something like that, but they want to keep them just for parts or whatever. Not necessarily maybe for tables or chairs or anything like that, but it's not the worst idea in the world. Something like that, and we can slide this guy up. Like that. Hopefully you guys are starting to get kind of the idea of what this would do. Probably need to rotate this one up. Would they have wheelchairs? Maybe. A lot of times they would actually keep, like, if we had extra of these, we would actually keep them at our stand, because these are kind of can be damaged by weather pretty easily, especially since a lot of them are like a cloth. They're like a cloth, maybe like a canvas thing. But they worked there, so I think that'll stay there for now. It's kind of a nice little storage area. I'll see what other things we can put back here. One of these, they would probably not. It wouldn't be stored here, but parking one back here probably would not be, out of the realm of possibility. What else could they put back here? Now, I don't know why or what this is from, but they do have stuff like this. I'm sure something like this, we would try to have in the park, and they tried it, and people didn't like it, so they probably put it in storage back here. Stuff like that's pretty common. Do something like this. Put the clothing. Ooh, that's not gonna work. Put something like this in the very, kind of not really in the very back, but we can put them back here. I know we used to have this place called the Cage. Now it seems kind of a little interesting, but essentially it was just a small warehouse in the back of one of our stores. Well, it's a small warehouse. I mean, it was a small warehouse. I mean, it was still decent size. They keep a lot of decorations back there, as well as stuff for merchandise, things like this. That we could go back there if we ever needed to make a new shelf or whatever. We can go back and get a shelf or hangers, anything like that. Worked out pretty well. What else? What else? I've also got some drink cups too, which I think would be kind of interesting to try those out in different places. Let's see here. Anything else fit back here? It's kind of another question. Royal lockers probably would not be the worst idea. We wouldn't probably keep a lot of these back here, just for the fact that these are probably more for a company that we're just holding them for right now until they come pick them up. That was kind of common, especially with like Dippin' Dots. If you guys know what Dippin' Dots are, when we used to have a bunch of their carts lying around, that if one of them broke, we had them, but a lot of times we had to ship them back to the company for different reasons. So we would just keep them back here out of the way until they came and picked them up. So I haven't seen one of these Q fans, but I'm sure we had probably a spare one or two back here. And if you think this looks kind of junky, you're right. They kind of were a little junky back here sometimes. Not all the time. We would try to keep them as clean as we could, but there were some times we just couldn't help it. Here we go. We'll put a couple of these guys back here because, once again, if you ever had like a temporary cart you wanted to set or something like that, you could very easily pull one of these out, clean them up, and they'd be ready to go. So, not too bad at all. I forgot we had snow globes that we're going to need to put back in the merchandise warehouse, but yeah, that'll be okay for now. There we go. Put one or two of those up here. Pretty good there. Anything else? Maybe some older trash cans that they don't use in the park anymore. They would throw them back here because they can still use them around the park, like just not in the guest areas. I know I've carried a couple freezers to and from these areas before, but I think that's going to be it. But it kind of gives you the idea of how these areas are sometimes. Sometimes they can be kind of stacked up, especially if they were cleaning out an area or if they closed an area. They would have a bunch of these just lying around that they still need to get through. So yeah, there is, excuse me, my throat is still not doing great right now. But what I did want to do, I actually wanted to add a dumpster back, or at least one dumpster, probably more like two, back here. These would be more likely trash, dumpsters. And really, what I need to do is take the trash compactor. You know what? Let's go grab a trash compactor. Because there'd be, I know we had our biggest one up front near our warehouses. So that was kind of a big thing. Let's duplicate this, slide this over to, overshot, over here. So let's slide this down. Like that. Now I'm wondering if can we actually replace this dumpster here with the actual like yard dumpster, or is it too big? We'll see how that is. Let's see how this works. To do that, let's go over to Theme Maker's Toolkit, add in this dumpster here. It's a little wider, just a tiny bit wider. So what I'll do, I'll just hit undo, and loop, that's not what I wanted to do. Leave that be there. I'll go ahead and put these dumpsters up over here. So we probably have, extra garbage cans somewhere, or extra garbage that we need to get rid of, and so this also could be used for like cardboard or something like that, or if they were doing some landscaping or whatever, they could have something like this out. So yeah, nothing too crazy. I haven't seen these around. I wonder if these do have a position snap on. I'm kind of curious. Well, that didn't work. Position snap. Let's see if these they do have that. Well, this. These do not. Okay, fair enough. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and move this one. Let's hit align to surface, which is, it's fine there because all I have to do is make sure I put angle snap back on. Rotate this up 90 degrees. Slide that. Let's see how these fit in here. Something like that. And then slide this over to there. Now rotate this into place. And there we go. We have one dumpster done. It might be a little tall. The door, maybe not. And I think that might look like about where it should be. And so the second one, though, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to slide this over and then rotate the door out. So what they can do that for these dumpsters. And there we go. So now you can actually essentially walk into these things and then dump old stuff in there. And we could do that. I mean, we could add things like what do these old pipes look like? Or these pipes? Yeah, I'm pretty sure we could use something like this. Let's see. Line surface. There we go. If they really wanted to get rid of stuff like this, they very well could. Well, yeah, I was looking for that last episode. I actually found these mooring cleats for the dock. That's going to help. I think that'll look a little bit nicer. But maybe that's just me. One of these fit in there? Maybe not. Let me look here. What else can we put in here? Maybe some of these old dishwashers. Stuff like this, you know, they would have to get rid of them somehow, and this is probably one of the ways they got rid of them. I'm not 100% sure, but, you know, I figured something like this, they could probably get rid of. This would probably be like a recycling thing, so they could throw all this into a big dumpster, and then they take it to like one of the local recycling plants. That probably could work. What other thing? I mean, something like these exhaust fans that probably wouldn't need much, or, you know, after they were taken off a building, you wouldn't need them. Line the surface off. It looks like we just like renovated something, and we're just tearing down the old stuff and throwing it in a dumpster, which, fair. It's kind of how it is. Let's see here. A lot of the branded stuff you wouldn't be able to put in there, just because a lot of times the company asks for those back. So, you know, not ideal to put in there. Oh yeah, I also forgot I got one of these. Oh hell, I haven't seen this one yet. Let's see how they look. Nice parking ticket, kind of neat. We'll have to use that out in our parking area eventually. Anything else we want to throw in here? Maybe I'll find some stuff later that I'll want to put in here, but for right now, I think we're okay on this. Let's see here. But, you know, a little utility vehicle probably would not be the worst thing. Maybe it looks like it's throwing garbage bag in the back of this thing. I think actually it's under scenery, isn't it? There it is. That's what I'm looking for. So throw a little bit of this around to kind of make it look like, yes, this actually is supposed to be garbage. Kind of rotate them, make sure they don't all look the same. I mean, that'll work, I think, for now. Kind of like the little utility truck sitting out in front of them, just to kind of make it look like they were working on something here. You know what we can also do, actually, let's pull this guy forward a little bit. Actually, there's a trailer that they have that probably would have more like the trash in it. Shoot, that's not it. I know I just saw it, which I should have grabbed it, but I didn't even think until now. But we'll figure it out. Where is it at? Also want to add a few of these dirt decals onto the floor here. Kind of make it look like maybe some of the trash is either spilt out or kind of gotten on the ground a little bit. I was kind of hoping... maybe that'll work. This is a very like city skylines type of deal where you're throwing down like these paved areas of, you know, concrete or whatever, and you throw decals over it to make it look like it's older or whatever. Where is that trailer at? I don't see the trailer. I know I just saw it, and it's going to drive me crazy until I find it. There it is. Now, this is more likely where they would have their trash in, because it actually has sides on it. So, and yes, we actually did use stuff like this at Kings Island. They'd actually have, these are actually diesel powered, which is kind of interesting. They're like side by sides essentially. We actually then go ahead and throw some of the trash in the very back here. Maybe it looks like it's partially unloaded. And what we could do, just add a little bit more detail, and I hit the, that's not really wrong button here. We'll do something like that. And have this person. Pause it. And they're going to get standing. We can make this person a park services one, because I don't think we actually have any park services people around here, which is kind of something we need to have. And so park services was kind of the trash people. The trash, they clean, stuff like that. So very important part of the park, something I could not do, but they were always very useful. I'm going to make them, if you go to Cedar Fair, all of them are either in orange or in yellow. Tan shorts usually, so I think, but they always have navy blue hats, which never made sense to me. So let's do something like that. So there we go. Now we actually look like we have a little bit of work going on behind the scenes now. I think it works pretty well. We're going to also go ahead and boost the salary just so that she doesn't look bored, though she probably will anyways. Yeah, I think that works out pretty well, guys. So what I'm going to do here, I want to stop right this second and go run to use the restroom real quick. It should only be a couple minutes, but I'll be right back. And yeah, just give me a couple minutes here. I will want to take a break and then use the restroom. And it should only take me a couple minutes. Yeah, just hang tight here, guys. I'll be back before 3 o'clock. So if you need to take a break, it'd be a good time to do so. And we'll see you then. All right, everybody, I am back. I might be having some headset issues because I think may have died on me there. So we'll see about that here momentarily. I don't think I have any game audio going right now. Let's go ahead and pop back into the game, though. Now, I was kind of curious what I was going to do for the rest of the episode here, and I think I have an idea what I want to do. Man, it is lagging like... Ooh. Don't like how this is going now, because it wasn't... See, it was lagging a little bit earlier. Maybe it was just the game. I thought my screen was lagging just a little bit, but I think we're okay. I don't know. So I think what we're going to do, though, is, first off, I'd like to maybe even connect this road up really quick. And we're going to work on this area right here. So, first things first, I think my headset just died again. So that's fun. So essentially I want to... Ooh, that's a huge dip there. Let's go ahead and try to fix that before we actually put the path down. My headset did just die, so I'm going to have to take it off just for a couple minutes. I'll let it charge back up, because it will charge and, you know, play audio still. There we go. Just want to make sure it was charging first. Let's go ahead and get this. So let's flatten the terrain out. So I have an idea what I want to try to do for the rest of this time. And did my stream just cut back out? Hold on. I don't know if my phone's having issues or if it is Twitch or my internet. Well, let's try it here. Let's restart it. Seems like it's working okay now. That would really kind of stink if it all of a sudden just started cutting out. It would not be great. Alright, so what do we want to do here? So I do want to level this out just a little bit, because I did notice there's quite a big dip there. But I do want to have a, you know, incline here, because that'll, you know, go out to the rest of the park there. Alright, so let's go back this way. Let's cut the angle. That's for right now. That's all the kind of the road I want to do for right now. I probably will go back through and kind of repaint this, kind of redo a little bit of the cliffside here, just make it a little bit nicer. But the reason I wanted to do that is now I have this little section here that I can kind of really hone in on and focus on. And I have an idea for this area. So what I want to do is I actually want to create another parking lot right about in here, a smaller one. Essentially what I'm going to do, I don't think I'll be able to get this done in the next hour, but we're going to at least start on it. This is going to be our money area, so our accountants, our auditing, things like that, as well as our money room. So the money room will probably be in here, but also I'm going to put security up here as well. I think that's going to help, number one, protect our money a little bit better, and number two, it'll give our parking for our police and for the armored cars that would come through here a place that they can park and make sure they're okay. So the first thing I want to do is actually delete that section. Now I can go back through here with one of the grids. And that's why the game's lagging so much, because it was playing. I didn't notice that because didn't know it was playing. That was on me. That was not great. So what we'll do is kind of pave in this whole area here. Probably do we'll probably do 4, but we'll probably put a fence up around here. I think that'll work out for now. And that stupid piece did not get filled in here. There we go. Fix that. It keeps. It might. I'm thinking it might be my internet connection. I'll be honest with you, because it seems like my phone does not like it. It seems like it's cutting in and out. So if I know my dad likes watching this upstairs, and I think he's been having some issues with it as well. So we might have to end the stream a little bit early today just because of that. But I'm gonna at least try to get the parking area for this building done. And if we have to wait till next week to start on the building, we have to wait till next week to start on the building. First things first, though, I want to get a little bit darker color on this fence because I do want to have this a little more secluded than the rest of the parking lot, because did my phone just shut off? It did not, but it's not showing anything now, which is not great. duplicate that. 2-meter piece, please. Yeah, so it just showed me an error, so not ideal. Let's be real here. Alright, let's rotate this. Let's get the right color first. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Well, this is just going swimmingly right now. Alright, let's change this. Number one, let's add this to a group. This will make it a lot easier to edit. Second of all, let's turn this back to the correct color. Third, let's go ahead and duplicate this one. And we'll rotate it to the proper orientation. Slide that down to there and over to there. Actually, probably just need to use both. That's actually not going to work. At least the trash compactor won't work there. We'll have to turn it, which is okay. And then we need to turn it like that. And we'll run the fence along here. Before I forget though, let's turn that trash compactor. Because here's the thing. I can roll Barneys, which is these little gray things right there, pretty easily back into here. The only problem is that... Select that building, let's move it. The only problem is that this dumpster here needs to be able to be driven, and when I mean driven, by like trucks, you know, in and out of here. So I can't actually block that off. I can do something like that though, and have the dumpster facing out this way. I'll have to move this just a little bit more here, to where a truck can actually back in here and pick it up. And we can easily roll Barney back through here. And I'm trying not to sneeze here. So I think that'll work. And then we can still keep our fence back here. Problem solved. No big deal. So this is essentially going to be our kind of money drop-off area. Kings Island actually had an area between two buildings they actually could gate off, to where when an armored truck would pull in, they would back the truck in, and then they could close these gates off, and they would keep 2 security guards there. It kind of stinks because there was a couple of days that I was working and I had to go drop off money to the money room, and I had to wait because there was an armored truck there. I couldn't do anything. So let's do that. Let's see. I think there actually is a SWAT van, I think it is, that looks pretty similar to probably the same size as an armored truck. So let's use that. Not quite. This is more of a delivery truck kind of looking, but I imagine though this probably be similar to an armored vehicle. Do something like that. I think that'll work. And then we kind of want to limit this area though, so let's do that. And then let's start bringing this back a little bit more. And we're going to go ahead and rotate this. Let's see here. Let's do angle snap. Slide that over to there. Slide that to there. Slide that into there. And so I don't know how much more I'm going to need because the building's going to go there, but I think that works for our gated in area. And so that, you know, we can kind of limit the amount of people back here at any given time. And the reason also I thought about moving the or putting the security behind here is that it just kind of for safety, I guess. Really, if you think about it, it's not a bad idea to keep security around, especially when there's an armored vehicle here. And that's kind of how Kings Island did it as well. Their security is right next to the money room, so it's pretty secure. I wouldn't try it. So let's see here. I'm gonna go to scenery. I'm gonna put a little bit of a gate here. Make it's kind of a suggestion that this is a gate, not just a wall. So let's do something like that. So let's go to scenery. I'm going to put a little bit of a gate here. It's kind of a suggestion that this is a gate, not just a wall. So let's do something like that. 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 So let's do someth I think probably 12 by 12, maybe that'd be a little thick. 18 by 18 is even thicker, isn't it? Yep. All right. I think this will work. And let's go ahead and line this to the surface. Let's also paint it black because that probably is a good gate color. Let's do this. Roll this up to here. There and there. Put one there. There. And there. What size was this? The 3 by 7, I believe. Do want a little bit longer piece though, because that'll be a little bit easier to work with along the top here. One there and one along there. That should work. And we can actually open the gate up a little bit. Let's see here. We do this. We leave it a little bit askew. Just kind of make it look like it was not closed or open all the way. So it was kind of left open. Or left like that. So there we go. And so now they can kind of swing shut when a truck's there and things like that. I keep getting more errors. This is not ideal. So what I'll do, guys, probably here, I'll probably go for another maybe 15-20 minutes or so and then probably call it, because I don't know exactly if this is still going or not. I know it's still being... According to Twitch, this is still going pretty well. Which is odd. Activity feed, yeah, it seems like everything's still going. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but we'll figure it out. So eventually what we're going to do are, this will be the security parking lot. They'll park police cruisers, things like that there. And we'll do that and then probably call it a stream. I think that's a good way to end it. You know, nothing too crazy, but so what we're going to do, I'm actually going to take this. So I can get that going again. I'm gonna try my phone one more time. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But, you know, just give it a try so you at least see maybe what's going on. What I'll do is I'll just take this. Oh, it's actually already in a group. Awesome. I actually did something right for once. Now, a lot of vehicles, if you ever, you know, get to work in an amusement park, a lot of their police vehicles are just decommissioned real vehicles, real police vehicles, and we actually did have our own police department. So yeah, a lot of them were just older department vehicles that they would buy from different people. And I say some were older. I actually knew one where a county bought a new police chief vehicle, and then realized they didn't want it, and because they didn't need it, and it was like a $60,000 Chevy Tahoe, and Kings Island purchased it for like 30 grand. So they had a couple brand new ones that were really nice. But most of the time they were like old Crown Vics. I know they had like, I think I want to say they had 1 or 2 Ford Rangers that they would actually use. So yeah, unfortunately though, we really don't have any trucks in here, like pickup trucks, and I'd love to see somebody on the workshop create just like a small pickup, maybe like a crew cab pickup truck. I think both of those would be amazing things to have in here because we actually use trucks like that all the time. Food service, we'd have like the flatbed trucks on the back. We put pallets on there, usually 1 or 2 pallets, and be able to deliver them to different stores. And merchandise, we just had like a long, like it'd be an 8-foot bed truck that we'd go out and deliver merchandise in. This was all before the park was open, of course. And, you know, it's stuff like that. It's like, something like that would be an amazing little feature to have. And for like one of them, I mean, games, they had 2, like, I say relatively new. I think they were the newest ones in resale. But they actually had, like, maybe mid-2000s Chevy Silverados. They had 2 of them. They had a special, it almost looked like a camper, like just like a camper that you put in the bed of a truck. But it was more like a cage, though. They could throw all the games prizes up there and drive the truck up and unload them right from the truck and not have to worry about getting out and trying to get ladders or anything. And sometimes they'd still have to get ladders for some games. But, yeah, it was really interesting. It worked out pretty well for them. That was kind of neat. I wish we had some of those, you know, newer trucks. Of course, unfortunately, the food service warehouse would tear up their trucks pretty hard. There was a story that a door actually fell off one of our trucks. And apparently it actually was both of them. They only told it was one. That's what we heard. But no, apparently both doors fell off one of our food trucks once. It was being driven a little fast. I'll put it that way. But it got to the point where I do remember maintenance, our auto maintenance department actually tied the... So essentially if you know how a throttle works, you kind of understand how this works. But there's just a cable that attaches to the pedal for older vehicles that allowed, make the car go. Essentially what they did was they tied that shorter so the travel wouldn't allow the car to, or allow the carburetor to open up as much so they wouldn't go as fast. And I think after that they kind of settled down a little bit, but it was still rather funny hearing those stories because it's like, ooh, that's not great. All right. I think we can put a couple more parking spots in here. And we'll just rotate one, we'll cap it off here. We'll probably put a walkway or something like that over here. Or we'll put like an L, maybe that's an L-shaped building. And, excuse me. And, put some, either, we can put like more offices over here, or we can even put first aid over here if we really wanted to. Might not be a bad location for it. Make all of our emergency and money in one building. Maybe not the worst idea in the world. Or this actually might be money room over here. Yeah, maybe not, because I put the armored vehicle over there. I might make this area more the emergency services. So essentially, I guess the idea would be is that your money room and vault's going to be over here. Your police station is going to be right next to it, and then probably auditing and accounting probably on this side. I think that works out pretty well. I think it's going to at least look good. Something like that. We'll move this cruiser over here. And we'll put a no parking area along this little triangle here. Alrighty, well, I think, guys, it's about that time. Let's go over what we kind of did today. So, if you just joined us late or kind of figure out what's going on here, we've actually been working on this little back section back here. Just kind of fill it out a little bit better. This is kind of one I kind of neglected. And we kind of redo the entrance now. It's not a bad thing. So, you can kind of start to see our back area starting to take shape a little bit more. But the first thing we actually started on is actually this employee entrance right here. So, if you look just off to the right of our new entrance area, which we did the past 2 streams, if you're curious, if you want to see that as well, you can always check those out on my YouTube channel. There's a link right below the stream here, but you can take a look here. It's a nice new entrance that we've done. I really like it. Honestly, this took 2 streams, but this, for the time I spent on it, this is probably my most favorite thing we've done so far on stream. And we've done a lot on stream already, and I don't know. There's quite a few things that are really good, but this is probably one of my favorite places now, because it just looks good. It looks proper, and I quite like it. The main actual gate area could use a little bit more work, but I'll come back to that later and work on that. But this is our new employee entrance. We actually have our bag check here. We actually even have an employee going through bag check. And then there's some screens here. This is probably change. I'll have to go into like paint.net or something like that and make some employee announcements. Probably keep those up as well. Keep one of those up. If you walk through here, you can see where we were at. This is actually our admin building and our admin marketing. It's like some of the what I would call C-suite. So your CEO, CFO, things like that. Your general managers in there. And then this is actually back of one of our stores. This is actually the stroller and wheelchair rentals. This is the back of the pizza place, which we need to add a little more details along here just to make it look a little more realistic. And then we got the admin parking lot. This is for all of our full-time people. And then we have our food service warehouse, which we had here already. And then this is the second thing we actually built, was actually the merchandise warehouse. So you can kind of see in here. Once again, we don't have anything on the shelves because that would take up a lot of like memory and things like that. But we do have a little sorting area over here. That if you want to listen to that, you can always look back at the stream and see what's going on there. Next thing we actually worked on is the storage containers back here and kind of the junk area almost a little bit. This is not really more junk. We will build a dedicated junk area, which I kind of explained a little bit earlier, but it probably won't be this stream. It's a nice little area here that I think looks pretty nice. Then we started working on this area here. This is going to be our money room, our security, and probably our first aid. I quite like that idea. So behind here, this will be where our armored car comes in. And we unload and unload from the vault and money room here. And then this will be our security next to it. And you can already see our police vehicles are parked there. Some empty spaces because we do have some patrol vehicles out in the park or around the park already. So yeah, that was kind of our plans for right now. So next stream, I really want to work on our money room, our security, and our auditing office here. Probably work on this a little bit more. I'm thinking about maybe making this area more of like a little bit more of a junk area for us. Then do our maintenance, stuff like that along this back. We'll essentially curve this road out to here. We'll put our maintenance, our like vehicle maintenance, landscaping, ride maintenance, carpentry, and probably paint shop back here. So there's 4 shops I want to put back here, and maybe put one over here. Maybe use that as the automotive section, and then make this a little bit of a junkyard. So that if we need to pull something from there, we can. And then we have some other shops. Wardrobe, I think, is going to go over here, probably in this area. Wardrobe and laundry. Might even put a post office back there because that's a thing. We also need to put a fire department somewhere around here. Maybe right in here. Nothing too crazy, maybe 2 trucks. That's all we really need for a park like this. So that's kind of how I'm thinking about doing this, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to the main camera here. Guys, well, thank you guys for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. If you guys enjoyed watching this stream, the best way you can help support me is just leaving a follow. We're up to 46 already. We do have a 50 follower celebration planned if we can get to 50. I'd like to get there before the end of the year, and we're getting towards the end. We only have a couple streams left, maybe about 6 or 7. Remember, the holidays are coming up, and remember also this Friday I will not be streaming because it's going to be Black Friday. It's right after Thanksgiving. If I'm not in a food coma, it's it's kind of one of those things. So yeah, that is so. Next stream is going to be next Wednesday. I'll put that on the schedule for next Wednesday. We'll be back in Planet Coaster. Let's see what other things I need to talk about. Let's see. No stream on Friday. Next stream will be another Planet Coaster. No big deal. If you're curious about the 50 follower celebration, we're going to actually do a big party in Thunder Lake for 50 followers because I think it's going to be kind of a fun thing to do. But I think that is going to be it, guys. Thank you for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. Oh, that's what the other thing was. If you actually are curious about more content from me, I know some people are, maybe can't wait till next Wednesday to see more, or are kind of curious at how I built the rest of Thunder Lake, or kind of the story behind Thunder Lake. You can always go check out my YouTube channel. Every stream I've ever done is on there. The history of Thunder Lake is actually going to be on there. I think that's actually a clip I have on there. It's like a 13 or 14 minute clip if you want to watch that. It's a great one if you're curious about Thunder Lake, or if you want to see how I built something. All the streams are on there, but also it's not only that. I've got Roller Coaster Tycoon, Colonization. I've got Evil Genius. There's a whole plethora of games on there if you guys want to check that out. I just kind of tied you over till next Wednesday. But for now, guys, that is going to be it from me. Sorry I had to end the stream a little early, but I keep getting some errors that pop up, so I think it might be good. I might have to do some IT work even on my off day. So I'll see you guys next Wednesday. You guys have a great Thanksgiving and a great Black Friday and a great weekend, too. I usually don't get to say that on Wednesdays, but, you know, for this week I have to. But guys, thanks for joining me today. Do appreciate it. I will see you guys next Wednesday for some more Planet Coaster. But until then, bye for now.